What makes something priceless? Well, if it's a one-off, a rare item, or a relic of a long-gone civilization, then chances are you have yourself a priceless artifact. We like to take such pieces and put them in museums where they can be protected. Yet, humans have a knack for damaging and destroying priceless things. Priceless trip. We're no art experts, but it doesn't take a genius to know that a 17th century Chinese vase is pretty priceless. So why were 3 of these artifacts left out in the open near a staircase in a Cambridge museum? Whoever was in charge of the display quickly learned the value of protective barriers when Nick Flynn reportedly tripped going down some stairs and took out the ancient pieces. Flynn was arrested for the accident, and experts were left trying to glue the hundreds of shards back together. Bad judgment. We'd like to think that people who work in museums know that a lot of what they're dealing with is delicate and priceless. The French Museum of Fine Arts apparently has at least one worker who doesn't get that. The museum is home to a 200-year-old folding chair, once used by Napoleon Bonaparte on the battlefield. Against better judgment, the employee decided to sit where one of history's greatest military minds once sat, ripping the leather and breaking the wooden frame. Terrible Taliban. We're used to hearing a lot of bad things about the Taliban, but one aspect that gets overlooked is their dislike of artwork. Take, for instance, 2 of the largest standing Buddha statues, both found in Afghanistan. The 1,700-year-old sculptures weren't to the Taliban's liking, and they decreed all non-Islamic symbols be destroyed. Despite pleas from the international community and offers of money in exchange, the giant Buddhas were shot at with anti-aircraft guns and tanks before being totally destroyed with dynamite. Art hater? We get it, not everyone is into art. In these cases, you usually stay away from museums. Not Andrew Shannon. A few years ago, he was at the National Gallery Ireland, where he ended up putting his fist through a $10 million Monet. Shannon at first said he had felt faint and the whole thing was an accident. CCTV footage showed otherwise. Afterwards, he changed his reason to say he destroyed the painting to get back at the state. Well, the state got back at him by putting him behind bars. Epic fail. Some of us like to think that we have skills we actually don't. Then there's Cecilia Jimenez, an elderly amateur artist. Officials in a church in Borja, Spain decided the 80-something artist would be perfect for restoring one of their frescoes known as Behold the Man. Jimenez gave it her best shot, and the result was, well, as you can see, it was not good. At first, authorities thought the painting had been vandalized. It was that bad. Once the truth came forward, it became an internet sensation, with some dubbing the restoration, Behold the Monkey. Oh, the irony. George Harrison was an artist, gardener, humanitarian, and most notably, a member of the icon rock band The Beatles. The band's lead guitarist died in 2001, and his memory was honored by planting a Japanese black pine in an LA park. Nearly 12 years after it was planted, Harrison's memorial tree was found dead. It turns out the tree was killed by none other than a pack of beetles, the non-musical kind. What are the odds? While technically this isn't about priceless artifacts, if you're a car lover, it might as well be. A group of car enthusiasts in Japan were traveling in a convoy when one lost control and started a chain reaction of destruction. When it was all said and done, 14 vehicles lay twisted and smashed on the Japanese highway. From Mercedes to Nissan Skyline GTRs to Ferraris and Lamborghinis, the crash didn't claim any lives but left a lot of insurance companies cringing. Estimates place the cost of the crash in the several $million range, leading some to call it the most expensive car accident ever. Bottoms up. What do you consider to be an expensive bottle of alcohol? If you're Salvatore Calabrese, it's a $78,000 bottle of cognac. To be precise, it's a bottle of 1788 Clos de Griffervieux, a very old cognac that Calabrese was going to use to set a Guinness record for the most expensive cocktail. Unfortunately, while preparing to pour the drink at London's Playboy Club, the bartender allowed a guest to look at the very old and very expensive bottle. It slipped and smashed on the floor, probably making it the most expensive spilled drink ever. Lost in translation. In war, you expect things to get damaged and destroyed. The Second World War definitely did just that. However, some iconic and priceless things were purposefully saved or spared from the bombings and fighting. like the Eiffel Tower. The same could almost be said for a historic monastery found in Italy at Monte Cassino. You see, during the fighting, German soldiers had stayed away from the monastery, which was considered neutral ground. A mistaken translation led the British to think the monastery was a German headquarters, which resulted in the area being destroyed by bombers. Graffiti cleanup. Graffiti can be pretty beautiful, but for the most part, it's an eyesore. As a result, we often spend time scrubbing off the unwanted art to keep our cities and towns looking nice. In France, a group of youths had this in mind when they descended upon the Myrieres caves. Their goal? Clean up gang and tourist-related graffiti. Unfortunately, someone forgot to tell them the caves were also home to drawings made during the Paleolithic era. The cleaning was eventually stopped, but not before a 15,000-year-old bison drawing had been partially destroyed. Thanks for watching this video, folks. While you're here, why don't you check out these other videos, comment on this one, like it, and maybe even subscribe to The Richest for more cool content all the time. Thanks!